Hello everyone, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to Daily Current Affairs session. Today's article briefly we will go through before discussing them in detail. Callisto moon, so a moon of Jupiter, so we will see why it is there in news, what is the context and what are all the relevant things for our exam. Then Ladakh protest, so why Ladakh is being with facing lot of protests from the local people. We will see the geographical location and then we will go to the reasons for the same. Then electronic voting machines and then voter verifiable paper audit trial system, so VVPATs. So what is the connection between these two and what Supreme Court has said recently, what is the background, all those things we will see in a detailed manner. Then heat waves, yesterday Indian Meteorological Department has declared that in the next coming 2 months almost all part of Indian subcontinent, right, excepting certain states, we are going to face heat waves. So we will discuss what actually is heat waves, when it is declared, what is the criteria and what are all the relevant things for our exam. Then Havana syndrome, so a mental disorder faced by the diplomats especially from the North American continent. We will see what is the context and we will also discuss what actually the Havana syndrome is. Then Kodaikanal Solar Observatory, part of science and technology again. So this details as well as the historical elements given in the Indian Express we will discuss in detail, and there are 3-4 factual pointers as well, that also we will cover, and finally we will see the practice questions from our discussions. So try to understand the content rather than by hearting them, and then you will be able to remember for a longer period of time. Yeah, very good evening Srinath, welcome to the session. Yes. So let us start with the first article, that is Callisto moon, and why we have taken this article. So we have there was an publication of article in the Hindu. It talks about an international team of scientists including Indians, there are some Indians as well in the team. They have declared the ozone O3 in the Callisto moon, right. So ozone is present in the Earth's atmosphere, in the stratosphere as well as in the normal troposphere also we can see some part of ozone. So it was declared in the, it was observed in the Callisto moon as well in Jupiter. So we will see what is the significance of this observation in the next coming slides, but before that let us discuss what actually is the features of Callisto, the moon of Jupiter. Before going into the actual context, we will see what actually the moon is, what is some features about it, right. So this is a moon of Jupiter. So we have a moon, right, we have our own in the sense Earth's moon, we have Chandamama we call, right. So we have moon, but similarly the moons are also present in the many other planets. So Saturn was having the highest moons, try to remember this, earlier it was Jupiter, but Saturn has the highest moon followed by Jupiter. So this Callisto is one such moon of Jupiter, and it is the third largest moon in the whole solar system. So we have a number of moons in our solar system, right. So this one is the third largest moons after Ganymede of Jupiter moon and then Titan of Saturn. So these are the two largest, and followed by Callisto is the third largest moon. Now it is also primarily composed, the amount of material on Earth we have different composition, right, like iron, oxygen and all. So it was observed by the different scientific satellites like Voyager 1, Voyager 2, which was launched way back by NASA. They have observed that the Callisto moon consists of water ice, the ice made of the H2O, and then rocky materials like how Earth has the rock material, the same was observed in the Callisto moon as well, and then sulfur dioxide. So the presence of sulfur dioxide also indicate that there is some life, there is a possibility of life. So this sulfur dioxide was also observed in the Callisto moon. Similarly some organic compounds, right, organic means some life having elements. So that was also observed way back, not only now, but it was observed way back in 1980s and 90s itself, right. So this substances prove certain thing that yes, there may be a possibility of life in the future in Callisto, or maybe in past there may be some life. life is not just about humans, it can be microorganisms, it can be insects, it can be any other thing which is having life, right. So this features of Callisto moon indicates that there may be a possibility of life in the past, or maybe in the future we will have certain life in this particular moon. So that is indicated, and few more features we need to know about the Callisto moon which is relevant for our exam. This surface of Callisto was heavily cratered. Cratered means a depression, right. So it was cratered means, yes, you can see here there are depressions, right, a depressions on the surface. So this observation was made that this Callisto moon surface was heavily cratered, heavily depressions. That means what? Some other space object has hit in the past, right. So it may be asteroids or comets, they were hit, and now it was no what you call seismic activity was observed. That means there is no movement, right. So it means that it was stabilized. Earlier it was heavily cratered by the activities of other space object, but now it was almost stable, right. So with the same with respect to Earth as well, Earth has gone lot of changes million years ago, but now it was relatively stable, right. So similarly this Callisto moon was also stable like Earth, right. So this is one important observations that were made by various space machines, and it was relatively geologically it was relatively few geological features. Geological features means anything, mountains, or it can be parks, it can be plateaus, so anything related to the geology. So this very less features are there. It also indicates that it was relatively stable, right. So that is about the Callisto. Now coming to the context, that there was an observation from the ozone, right, from this particular Callisto. We have seen the features of Callisto. Now let us go to the actual context, and a brief background about the Earth as well. So you all know that Earth is the only planet that is making easy for life, right. So no other planets clearly indicates that there is a possibility of life to be made in the future or maybe in the past, excepting Mars, that say there may be some certain life, but overall on all the 8 planets that we have, only Earth is the one which is having the proper life. This is because there are certain chemical composition, certain what you call oxygen elements which are making easy for the life to sustain, right. So similarly here one important observation is ozone, O3. We have ozone on the Earth surface as well in the stratosphere. So you can see here in the layers. So this is the Earth. So here Earth is there. If you are a geography student, you might be aware about it. Earth above us there is a atmosphere, right. So atmosphere was there surrounding Earth. First it starts with troposphere, then stratosphere, then mesosphere, then thermosphere, and finally exosphere. So these are the layers of the atmosphere, and ozone is present in the stratosphere, the lower part of stratosphere. So here whatever the sun rays sent towards the Earth by the sun, it consists of the ultraviolet rays, UV rays, which are very harmful to our health, right. So that is being contained by the ozone layer. Ozone layer contains the coming of ultraviolet rays. The intensity of the frequency of ultraviolet was reduced through the presence of ozone layer in the stratosphere, right. So if not the ozone is present in the stratosphere, ultraviolet rays will hit the humans, and it will cause the damage to our DNA, right, and then trigger mutations, skin cancer, and the life possibility is very less. If ozone was not present, then sustenance of life on Earth is almost difficult, right. So similarly now connect to the context that we have discussed, that there was an ozone in the Callisto, right, the moon of Jupiter. It means what? So yes, in future it may protect, or it may make possible to live for the biological elements, the life on the Callisto moon, right. So this is about the features of ozone and how the crucialness of the ozone to our Earth, as well as this was discovered, right. So ozone molecules consist of O3, as I said, 3 oxygen atoms. So scientists are currently studying all over the solar system, not only on Earth, it is beyond certain moons, certain planets. So scientists are exploring to find out the ozone where it is located, right. In one such scientific experiment or observation was made recently, a few days back, that yes, there was a ozone on the Callisto, the moon of Jupiter. That was one observation. Also it was made through the help of presence of sulfur dioxide. There was already a sulfur dioxide in the Callisto moon. So this was helpful for the scientists to discover that there was a composition of ozone in the surface of Callisto. So it can protect against the ultraviolet rays. So that is what the observation of the final conclusion that was made by the scientist, right. So what we have seen here, we have seen the context that there was a discovery of ozone from the Callisto moon. We have seen what actually is Callisto moon, what is the features of it, and finally the importance of discovering the ozone or the role of ozone in protecting against the ultraviolet rays, and finally we have seen the discovery of the scientists made from the Callisto moon, right. So findings were normal thing, like they have identified the ozone, formation of ozone, and the sulfur dioxide that was present in that region was helped in formation of the ozone. So that is what the observations. Yeah, very good evening Malini and Noendila. Any doubts in this? So here what you need to remember for the exam, you no need to worry about the detailed discussion, the pointers made by the study, what the study has made and on which satellite or on which moon it was discovered. So that is very important, and also you need to know about the role of ozone, how it is protecting, where it is there on earth, and similarly you need to know about the Callisto. So that will be sufficient for our exam. You no need to worry about publication of the various papers, that is not relevant for our exam, only the context and then associated relevant content, right. So any doubts? Next one, Ladakh protests. So the context is again taken from the Hindu itself, the Hindu newspaper. Since March 6th, Sonam Wangchuk, the Ladakh famous educationist as well as environmentalist, was on hunger strike, right. So he is on hunger strike since many days. So that is why there was an article. Yes, great. So thank you for the response. So this is the context, that there was a person who is famous from Ladakh was on hunger strike, and we will see the reason why the person is on hunger strike and what is the issue. Before that, let us observe the geographical location of the Ladakh region. So observe here, the Ladakh is located on the northernmost boundary of the India, right. So this blue color all indicates the Ladakh, right. So this is the Ladakh region, and Leh and Kargil are the two districts of Ladakh. So Leh and Kargil are the two districts, and of course Leh is the capital of Ladakh, right. Now here Jammu Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh is located. So this is the geographical location of Ladakh, bordering to the Afghanistan as well, a slight boundary to Afghanistan and then Pakistan, right. So this is Pakistan, this is Afghanistan, and then this is China. Anyway, this part is Pakistan occupied Kashmir now, we will see that as well. At present we do not have boundary with Afghanistan, but yes, theoretically, as this is also our part which is occupied by Pakistan, that is why it is also considered that Afghanistan is also having boundary with the Ladakh, right. So this is the geographical thing, and there are certain features of Ladakh as well which need to be remembered for the exam, right. So Ladakh is sandwiched between, located, sandwiched in the sense it is located between two ranges, one is Karakoram and other one is Himalayan ranges. So it is sandwiched between Karakoram range on the top and then Himalayan range at the bottom, south side, right. So Ladakh is located between these two ranges. Now one more important feature of Ladakh is it consists of two districts, only two districts. One is Leh, which is the second largest district of overall in India, and the largest district is Kutch. Kutch district in Gujarat is the largest district in Gujarat, and second is the Leh, right. So second largest district. So Leh is one district in the Ladakh, and second district is Kargil. So two districts are there as we have seen in the map, and Janskar range is part of Kargil range. So this is an important fact to be remembered for our exam, right. So this is the feature. Now what is the history of Ladakh and what is the present scenario of Ladakh. That is important before knowing the context why the protests are happening and all. Let us understand what is the present status of Ladakh here. So if you observe this map, actually this is all part is Ladakh, right. So we have seen this all part is Ladakh, but anyway as of now the current status is this green color one is occupied by Pakistan, even though we consider it as our part, but this is called as a Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So in 1948 certain Pashtun tribes who are from Pakistan have occupied certain parts, because Jammu Kashmir was not part of India once, during the independence, it was an independent princely state, but because the Pakistan tribes has occupied and then Raja of Kashmir has acceded it to India. So we have taken control of it based on the agreement. By the time we have taken, Pakistan tribes have occupied this green part, right. So that is called as a Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and in this very important two resources regions are there, Gilgit and Balchistan. So this is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and in 1962 war with China we also lost certain part of Ladakh. This territory was part of India till 1962, but this was called as Aksai Chin. Now this territory was occupied by China, they have defeated us in 1962 war and they have occupied, and India is trying to take back this. They are claiming, of course, because this is part of India and they have occupied it illegally, right, during the war, right. And one more black color region here indicates this is a Shaksgam Valley. It was with the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, it was actually with the Pakistan, but this black territory was ceded to China as if it is their own. They have given it to China, they have taken it from the Raja of Kashmir in 1948, but this black territory was given back to the China, right, as part of their agreements. So here we have Siachen Glacier and all. This is the actual Ladakh region which is at present, right. So these are also part of Ladakh, but now it is under the hands of the Pakistan and then some part to the China, right. So this is also important to be understood. Now, so Ladakh earlier was contested territory between India and Pakistan, right, because Pakistan claimed that it is Jammu Kashmir is a Muslim dominated princely state, so they have to give it to the Pakistan, but anyway the Raja has acceded it to the India, right. So this is the contested territory earlier, but anyway it is now part of India with certain exemptions occupied by China and Pakistan. Now after this overall events that has happened, in 2019 Government of India has passed Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act, right. So earlier this Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh together, all this region was together was single state, that is Jammu and Kashmir with the state legislature. But now what has they have done? They have divided the Kashmir into two parts through Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act. One is Jammu Kashmir, right. So this one which was declared as both the union territories as of now, it was declared as union territory, and this one also declared as union territory, but clearly mentioned that Jammu Kashmir will be given the statehood in the next coming years. Once it is sorted, once the seats are distributed, we will give the statehood to the Jammu Kashmir, but they did not mention about the Ladakh. Now connected to the context, so for Ladakh they did not mention that there will be a statehood, it will be under union territory, like how we have Delhi as well as Pondicherry, we have Lakshadweep, Andaman, so they have mentioned it as a union territory. And when it was announced, the people of Ladakh was very happy. They are not they are given with separate union territory and center will take care of the things, right. So Ladakh people were mostly of Buddhist, they can have their own separate territory, they felt it fine. So we are going to have certain things, but now the issue has propelled it again after some years, that most as it is part of the union territory, the governor who is administering there was of not from the Ladakh region, and then all the government officials who are administering there were also not part of the Ladakh, and as it is an union territory, it is directly under the central government. So there was a certain administrative deficiencies where the role of Ladakh people has reduced and the role of the other parts of the people who are from other parts of India were administering there, from governor, from other administration and all. Also there was a lot of climate change things because the people who are coming there are not aware about the cultural elements of Ladakh. So that is why there was also a change in climate or environment in the Ladakh region. So people started protesting, the people of Ladakh started protesting that they want a separate statehood like any other states with the capital and then state legislature as well. So that the people, the local people will be get elected and the reservation for the jobs will be from the local people itself, right. So that is how they want a separate statehood, of course with the state legislature, right. So that was the main demand of the Ladakh region, right. So they want a full-fledged legislature with the constitutional safeguards, separate Lok Sabha seats for Ladakh, Leh and Kargil, which are the two districts, right, and also job reservations for local. So these are all the demands of the Ladakh people. That is why they are protesting after all these events. Similarly, they are also asking Ladakh to be involved or make part of the 6th schedule of Indian Constitution. We have 12 schedules in the Indian Constitution. Out of that, 6th schedule talks about giving more what you call devolution of powers to the certain states, and as of now we have Assam, Meghalaya and then Tripura and Mizoram. So these are the 4 states which are part of 6th schedule, and whichever the states are kept in the 6th schedule, they will get sufficient autonomous councils. So the local people, even though there are state legislatures, the local people will form the autonomous council, the tribes residing there, and they will have a lot of say. Without their opinion, we cannot implement any measures in that particular state, even if the governor or the chief minister asks, but the councils have a lot of role. Also the local culture is also protected, sufficient reservation for the jobs were also allowed, right. So this they are asking that 6th schedule should be, the Ladakh state should be along with the state legislature should also be included in the 6th schedule to gain all the benefits. So they will get local self-governance if it is included in the 6th schedule, and then cultural preservation. So whatever the culture that was there, the sufficient autonomy will be there to protect their own culture. Similarly, land and resources will be protected. Those lands cannot be used for any other purposes, right. So this land also will be protected. Customary laws will be continued. There won't be any effect of central government administration, and the reserved seats in both employment, education legislatures, and also give lot of developmental funds to those regions. So that is why for all these benefits Ladakh is asking for involvement in the 6th schedule. So that is about the issue. Any doubts in this? Any doubts related to the Ladakh? So we have seen the context why the person is protesting, right. So along with the person there is a lot of protests as well. So we have seen the geographical location of the Ladakh, and also what is the present situation, what is the features of Ladakh, and also we have seen the present nature of Pakistan occupied Kashmir and then Chinese occupied certain Indian territories as well we have discussed here. And then finally we have seen what is the current scenario of Ladakh, what has happened historically starting from the independence till 2019, and then what has happened after this administration reforms in 2019, and then finally we have seen the issues that Ladakh protests are asking for, right. Any doubts in this? Great, fine. Next, moving into the next article, electronic voting machines and then voter verifiable paper audit trial systems. So the context is the Supreme Court have asked Election Commission. There was a case filed by certain persons in the Supreme Court asking VVPAT should be completely integrated with the EVMs, that every piece of VVPAT has to be connected and checked along with the EVMs. We will understand, let us detailedly discuss about what actually is EVMs and then what are VVPATs, how they are interlinked, what is the present scenario, how it is calculated, what is the demand that is being made by the opposition or whatever the petitions filed in the Supreme Court, right. So just a petition was filed to synchronize with the EVMs and then VVPATs, that is the context. Let us understand from very basic level rather than directly discussing the issue, what actually are electronic voting machines. Before 2000, in 20th century, most of the elections were happened through ballot papers. we have a paper and then there are options of whatever the contestants, and we will tick mark and we will fold and we will keep it, we will fold this and we will keep it in the box. So each paper is calculated and then finally votes are calculated. This was the existing scenario in the 20th century. Now we have moved into the 21st century and the EVMs were introduced where the votes are electronically recorded. So if you just click on that, so that vote will go to that particular option, whatever the particular party that you have voted. So there is no involvement of paper at all. You will just click and then it will be saved in the control system, and finally during the counting they will take how many numbers. So it is much faster, and also the papers or the wastage of paper was also reduced. Earlier the counting used to happen for days and days, even week it used to take, because we need to count each and every paper. Now all the votes are segregated in the electronical manner and easily we are able to handle it. Within minutes we will get the total counting of those each electronic voting machine. So it is nothing but a electronically recorded votes machine, and it has two units. The electronic voting machines have two units. One is control unit and other one is balloting unit. So balloting unit is the one which you are clicking it, right, and then you are putting vote there. Control unit is one, it saves your vote. So there are two systems in the electronic voting machines, and EVMs display the names of the contestants, whoever are contesting in that local constituency. The names will be recorded. Along with that there is also a symbol of the candidate. Name and the symbol are mentioned in the electronic voting machines. This is very important to remember. No other picture of any other things are recorded, right. So the first use of EVMs for the first time, it was used in 1982 in Kerala. For the first time EVMs were used in the elections of Kerala, but anyway this voting process was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Why? There is no law, there is no rule, there is no regulation mentioned anywhere that elections has to happen through electronic voting machines. It was clearly mentioned under the Representation of People Act 1951 that elections has to take place through ballot paper, right, which was conducting since independence. There was mention of ballot paper, but there is no mention of electronic voting machine in any of the rules or laws in India. That is why Supreme Court has quashed that this is unconstitutional. There is no act which is regulating or enabling vote through electronic voting machines. So that was cancelled. Later, after 5 years, 1989, Parliament has amended, adjusted, added a provision in the Representation of People Act that the voting can be taken place through electronic voting machines. So in 1989, a provision was added into the RPA Act of 1951 to use the electronic voting machines in the elections. Fine. So after that, it was started with the what you call a testing manner in 1998, almost after 10 years. In 1998, Election Commission has tested it experimental basis in certain states including Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Delhi. So it was the first testing after officially adding this act, the provision under the RPA Act. Fine. And this was selective constituencies. Even though it was allowed in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Delhi, it is only for selective constituencies, it is not for all the constituencies. And for all the constituencies, it was made in 1999 in Goa Assembly. So this was the first time for all the constituencies the EVM was used for the first time in 1999. And after that, since 2024 general elections, the Lok Sabha elections for every 5 years, all the constituencies are unified through the electronic voting machines, right. So this has been the history of EVMs, and EVMs were specifically manufactured by Electronic Corporation of India Limited and then Bharat Electronics Corporation of India Limited. These are the two organizations which has an exclusive jurisdiction to manufacturing it, because if someone else are manufacturing, they may misuse. So private agencies are barred to manufacture the EVMs. Only these two bodies are involved in the manufacturing of electronic voting machines. So this is about the details of electronic voting machines, what are the machines and how we are using, when we have used. So all the details we have discussed. Now coming to the voter verifiable paper audit trail system. Before this, let us understand small background. certain persons have complained with the Supreme Court and other bodies in the Indian political system that EVMs can be hacked or the voting patterns can be changed. So we need a system to verify whether the vote was actually made is in synchronized with the electronic voting machine. So for that reason, Supreme Court has asked the Election Commission to introduce the voter verifiable audit trail system, VVPAT, right. So to cross check the vote that was intended to vote as well as the actual vote which was made in the machine. So to cross check whether it was in synchronity, the Supreme Court has asked the Election Commission to introduce the vote VVPAT, right. So here if you observe here, this is the EVM and then this is the VVPAT. So here what will happen, once I click the button on the vote, right, so it will accept and a small paper is visible there. So we will see, we can see whether our intended vote went to the same person or not. We can cross check, but anyway we cannot take the paper, right. You can just see there and then immediately after 7 seconds it will go into the box, right. So VVPAT is nothing but a independent verification printer machine which will show voters to verify their own votes whether they are accurately made or not, right. So when a vote is casted, so the paper will be appeared, you can see there, and it will go into the box, and what will be seen there, you can see the voter's choice indicating the party symbol and then name of the person. So these are the things that you can see from this VVPAT, right. So fine, this is good thing, so that it can be synchronity, whether you have an option to check whether the vote was intended to go to that particular person or not, fine. So there was no issues. This was for the first time was introduced in Noksan Assembly Constituency 2013. This was asked in UPSC CAPF exam in 2019. In 2019 question it was there. So VVPAT for the first time was introduced in 2013 in Noksan Assembly Constituency in Nagaland, right. And India is the first country in the world to introduce VVPAT system. No other country was there when we were introducing way back in 2013, right. So India was the first country to introduce it to the world. Now what is the existing utility? Now we are coming to the context. What is the demand, the petitions that were filed in the Supreme Court? Now we will come to the context, right. So let us understand the existing phenomena of VVPAT. The printed slip is for 7 seconds only. So it will just come up once you vote, it for 7 seconds it will there and it will go into the box, right. You cannot take the paper, right, you cannot take the paper, it will fall into the box. So that is one thing that need to be understood. And in February 2018, Election Commission has mandated, this is the present scenario, the existing scenario, try to understand. EC Election Commission has decided that counting of VV slips of one randomly selected polling station for every assembly constituency. So for every assembly constituency they will randomly check whether it was happened in synchronity or not. And after Supreme Court have asked to increase it, they have increased to 5 polling stations per assembly. So for each assembly seat we have a number of polling stations. The maximum persons that a polling station can take is 1500. So there are a number of polling stations and Election Commission will check randomly of 5 polling stations, right. So this is what the present scenario is, that for every assembly seat there is a 5 polling stations selected randomly to cross check all the votes of VVPATs in synchronity with electoral voting machines or not. So it is checked. Now what is the demand? This is the existing condition, but what was the demand? Opposition as well as some petitions filed have asked certain things. What was those demands? The thing is, the first demand is the paper which is staying for 7 seconds and going into the box should be enabled to take to the voter. So voter can take it and then they can clearly check it. After that they themselves will put in the box. Now machine itself is taking after 7 seconds, but let enable that the voter will take the slip and clearly check and then they will put it in the box. So this is one demand. And second demand is 100% counting of the slips in all the EVMs. In all the EVMs across the India, each has to be cross checked. It is not randomly of 5 polling stations, but each vote has to be cross checked. So that is the demand from the opposition as well as the petitioners filed. And what Election Commission has responded and what Election Commission has said to the Supreme Court. They have said that we are have been checked randomly. So 38,156 VVPATs were checked randomly since the elections complaints were received, right. So they have randomly checked this, and then not a single case of transfer of vote was mischievously happened. All these 38,000 that they have checked were clearly in synchronity. So there is no dilemma, there is no wrong thing that was happened, not even a single check there was a wrong thing. That is what the Election Commission has said. Similarly, they have received the complaints, certain complaints from different persons, and all seems to be the wrong allegations. So whatever the complaints that were received by Election Commission, they have cross checked with those constituencies, and all seems to be a wrong thing. There is a false complaint, there is no such complaint. Then everything is going fine, so why we need to go back to check for each and every VVPAT along with the electronic voting machine. So this will go back to the poll ballot system, the ballot system where the polling is made by marking. So again it will take days, and it will also have the regression, we are going back rather than going forward. So it is not feasible to have a cross checking of all the VVPATs. That was the Election Commission has said to the Supreme Court. Also, now what is the plea about? As we have already discussed, the petition proposed simultaneous VVPAT verification for all the constituencies with all the members deploying, and it may take around 6 hours. They have estimated and they have filed the petition, and we have to see what Supreme Court will say. Supreme Court has forwarded this petition by asking for Election Commission. Now we need to wait and see. This demand and what Election Commission has observed was happened before, but the plea was new which was filed in the Supreme Court. We have to see what will happen in the coming days. So this is about the details of electronic voting machines and then VVPATs, what is the demand of the opposition and other petitions, and what the Election Commission response is. Srinath, VVPAT facility experiencing in recent Telangana General Assembly elections. It was there even before. We were doing it even for last general elections also, it was there in 2019, right? Yeah. So the next article is about the heat waves. See, it seems to be a very general topic, but there is a specific data, specific criteria to declare the heat waves that will be asked in the exam, and it has been already asked in most of the exams when it is declared and what is the criteria and all, right. So the context is Indian Meteorological Department yesterday has warned that in the coming 1 month, the 2 months, April and May, India is going to experience the heat waves. You can see already. So when I was traveling through Hyderabad roads, I can experience lot of heat, which was not seen in the previous year. It was very huge amount. The same case is in most of the cities like Chennai, Bengaluru, even Bengaluru, which is on the higher altitude, is also experiencing the heat waves, right. Similarly, Delhi and the most part of the regions of India were experiencing the heat waves, and that was warned by Indian Meteorological Department that we are going to face the heat waves, and elections are also coming. Most of the people will be involved in the election campaigns and all, so we need to take care. So that is the warning made by the Indian Meteorological Department. Now, before going into what actually is heat waves and all, we need to know about the Indian Meteorological Department also. Many questions have asked previously about the Indian Meteorological System, when it was launched, which organization, which ministry is under. So all those details also we need to know. It was established in 1875. It was established even before the independence in 1875 during the British rule in India. That is very, very important fact to be remembered. And what is the responsibility of Indian Meteorological Department? To collect all the weather related data and disseminate the information to the people as well as the government bodies, right, to take care related to the heat waves or cyclones, whatever weather related events. They need to study, collect the information and then give it to the farmers, people and then government bodies. So that is the objective. Now this is an agency under Ministry of Earth Science. So it is an autonomous body, it has sufficient powers, own powers, but it is under the Ministry of Earth Science. That is also one important fact. So it is also one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological organization under WMO. We have an world meteorological organization under United Nations throughout world related to the weather. I mean, how IMD is taking care of weather related data of India, WMO is also taking care of the weather related data of the overall world, and there are 6 such regional specific organizations, and IMD is one such organization under WMO. It is headquartered at New Delhi. So these are all the facts related to the Indian Meteorological Department. Now what actually are heat waves? Now coming to the actual contest, right? So heat wave is nothing but the rise in temperatures than average normal temperature recorded in the geographical region. For example, Hyderabad, it is 35 to 36 temperature, and increasing beyond this is called as the heat waves, right? So that is a generic definition, but of course there are certain specific definitions, criteria given by the Indian Meteorological Department, right? So if it is plains, plains means the areas which are residing on the plains, not on the hilly regions, the temperature limit is 40 degrees. If it is crossing 40 degrees, then it can be considered as a heat waves, right? So this is one important claim for the plains. And for hilly regions, on the mountains, there are certain regions, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, and then Himalayas, we have a lot of regions. So these hilly regions which are located on the hills, if the temperature crosses 30 degrees, then it is considered as a heat wave. Very, very important, this has been asked in many times in the exam. For plains it is 40 degrees and for hills it is 30 degrees, right? That is maximum temperature where we can categorize a heat wave. Similarly, even if not it is reaching 40 degrees, some areas are not frequently observing 40 degrees, it may be 32, 33, 34, right, usually the temperature, and it is called as a heat wave condition prevailing if the temperature range is 4 to 5 degrees more, right. So already above 40, for example normal temperature is 40 degrees of that area, right, and it is going beyond 4 to 5 degrees more than that, then it is also called as a heat wave condition. Similarly, those regions which are usually recorded less than 40, like 30 degrees, 32 degrees, right, and even if it is not 40 degrees, if it is more than 5 to 6 degrees more, for example take some city Nasik, the average temperature is 32 degrees during the summer, example, like it is a visually concept, though it is not as 40 degrees, right, it should be 40 degrees to declare as a heat wave, but even if it is not recording 40 degrees, usual temperature is 32, and if it range is increasing 5 to 6 degrees more, that means 32, so 37 to 38, even if it is not 40 but more than 5 to 6 degrees temperature, that can also be categorized as a heat wave, right. One condition is 40 degrees and then 30 degrees for plains and hills, and even if that area is not recording 40 but it is beyond the range approximately 5 to 6 degrees more, that can also be categorized as a heat wave, right. And if it is declared as a severe heat wave, the temperature should satisfy this range, 6 degrees more and then 7 degrees more, so it is 1-2 degrees more than that, so it can be categorized as a severe heat wave. So it is heat wave and this is a severe heat wave. These things may not ask in the exam, they haven't asked because this require a lot of mugging of facts, but this has been asked many times in the exam. This is a simple fact, right. Similarly, there is also a coastal areas, right. India has a eastern coast and western coast. In that region, the maximum temperature if crossing 37 degrees, it is not even 40. So if it is crossing 37 degrees, because coastal areas are located in the border of the sea, so the temperatures are moderate, it is not very high or it is not very low, the temperature is always moderated because of the coastal strip. But if it is crossing 37 degrees and the temperature difference, if it is crossing difference than average by 4.5 degree, that is also categorized as a heat wave. So this is a classification of heat waves by IMD for various regions. Now what did IMD warn about? Yesterday there was a report about IMD. So it has warned that Gujarat, Maharashtra, check whether your state is there, right, Andhra Pradesh, northern Karnataka, Odisha and western Madhya Pradesh. So these are the states which are going to experience a severe heat wave, 1 to 3 heat wave days in April month, in April month we are going to see 1 to 3 heat wave days in these regions, and in May it can be more, 2 to 8 days out of 30 we are going to face the heat waves, right. So that was the observation made, and exempting Kerala, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, all other states are going to experience the heat wave condition in India. So these are the warnings given by IMD. Any doubt in this? Okay. Moving to the next article. So what we have seen the heat wave warnings given by IMD, the context, and then we have seen about IMD, the details, and then we have seen the heat wave classification, right. Finally we have seen the observations, a little bit more details. Next article is Havana syndrome. So Havana is a city located in Cuba, right. So Cuba, if you could able to recall the most popular Che Guevara, right. So Che Guevara is one of the first prime minister of president of Cuba, and is also one of the popular leaders, right. So here the context is Russia government has dismissed a joint media investigation related that certain of American individuals or diplomats, the foreign diplomats, are experiencing the Havana syndrome because Russia was involved. Don't worry, what is Havana syndrome, how it is affecting the diplomats, we will see. Just understand the context that people have alleged the Russia that they are involved in the Havana syndrome to the diplomats around the world, and Russia has declaimed, or they kept aside that allegations that we are not involved in it. So that is the context, right. Now what actually is Havana syndrome? This is important to understand. So it is nothing but a state of mental condition where our efficiency to work will reduce, right. So we cannot able to concentrate, our brain will think someone else, and then drowsiness, right. So hearing certain sounds, we feel like we are hearing certain sounds from, even though there is no sounds which are making outside, but still our brain is visualizing that there are certain hearing sounds, and there is a condition of nausea, vertigo and headaches to those diplomats, right, in working in certain countries. They have complained it very frequently, especially the diplomats, for the first time diplomats in Cuba, that is Havana region, have identified these conditions within themselves, and then they have reported to their own country, right. So this is Havana syndrome, that it has certain neurological disorders which is experiencing the mental health issue, that their brain is not efficiently working, and then headaches, vertigo, all these things are being experienced. So this is called as the Havana syndrome because it was first notified in the Havana region of Cuba. That's why the name has come. Now what are the causes? Why this is happening? We never know, we don't know actually whether this is a true thing or American diplomats they themselves are creating this concept of such, right. So we don't have any proper proof, no one is entirely sure from where it is coming and why it is happening, right. So there was certain indications made by certain people. Initially it was felt that it was because of a sonic attack. Sonic attack means higher sounds, there were beams were created and passed through those areas which those diplomatic areas are located. So initially it was thought like it was a sonic attack, the sound attack, but later there was no such proofs as well. So they have USA, they themselves has shifted to some other reasons, right. So they said that it was affecting by the microwaves. See, our surrounding us there are a lot of waves, there are visible rays, rays, there are radio waves, there is a lot of waves around us, electromagnetic spectrum, and there are also some microwaves to very certain level, and they have said that the microwaves intensity was intentionally increased surrounding those diplomatic regions, and this microwaves when passing through our brains, so this is being impacted. So there is no proper proof, but this is what they have proposed, right. So these are the causes. Now background, as I said, it was first recognized in 2015. USA and Cuba was not having proper relations because Cuba was a communist country, Che Guevara was there, so they are following the communism like how Russia and China was following, and USA is a democratic country. So Cuba was supporting the Russia. There was a Cuban missile crisis also where Russia has deployed certain missiles in the Cuba region, and Cuba is just a bordering surrounding region of the USA. So there was a lot of crisis. I am not discussing those world history events and all, it takes lot of time. But anyway, Cuba and USA was not in a good relations, and 2015 when Obama was there were some diplomatic relations established with proper relations, and now again there was diluted. But those days it was good relations, and 2015 it was established, and the diplomats who were working in, American diplomats who were working in the Cuba has raised the voice that they were facing this Havana syndrome, right. Now what is Havana syndrome status in India? That was also reported by the Indian Express. There was only one event reported by a diplomat. There is only once, which was reported in 2021 by US intelligence officer who was working in India. He has reported that there was some certain characters of Havana syndrome for himself, right, and India has kept this allegation aside that there is no such devices of microwaves or nothing was involved. So even if it is there, government was not at all involved in such events. So India has discarded, but yes, there was a one reported case from India. That is about the Havana syndrome. Yes, next moving to the last article, this is very factual in nature, right, very simple to understand, there is no complex concept as such to discuss in detail. Last one, Kodaikanal Solar Observatory. Kodaikanal Solar Observatory, and why we are discussing, there was an article in the Indian Express, right. So 125 years of Kodaikanal Solar Observatory. So this is very, very important, where it is located and what is the significance, all these things are relevant for our exams as part of our science and technology subject, right. So this is the context that we are taking, 125 years has completed. Now let us understand the background, like before having this Kodaikanal Solar Observatory, what has happened during the British. This was reported by the newspaper, they have given details also clearly, right. So in 1792, when Britishers were there in India, 1792, they have established a Madras Observatory. Madras is one of the three important provinces, right. Bombay, Madras and Calcutta were the three main presidencies, right, not province, sorry, presidencies which are under the British. So Madras Observatory was first in India to establish as a scientific observatory in 1792, okay. So during these years 1812 to 1825, they have observed lot of things related to the solar elements. This observatory has made lot of observation, it has captured the images of moon, bright star, sun, and all the photographs were preserved. Even today we have that in the preserved here in Kodaikanal Observatory, right. So this were made with the through Madras Observatory. The first dedicated solar observations, Madras Observatory is for all the things, not only for specific sun, moon, bright stars, everything was observed and the images were captured. But the first dedicated solar observations were recorded in 1878 with the help of Trigonometrical Survey Office in Dehradun. This is a second step. First step for India is Madras Observatory, which made all the observation related to the astronomy. Second is specific to solar, was made for the first time in 1878 through Trigonometrical Survey Office in Dehradun. This based statements, I mean these statement based questions may be asked from these things. You need to understand, before Kodaikanal Observatory there were two important things that you need to remember. Now what are the events led to the establishment of Kodaikanal Observatory? This was established in 1899, right. So this was the second observatory, the specific solar observatory was made in 1878, and 1792 we had a Madras Observatory. Now this Kodaikanal Observatory was established in 1899, and what are the events that was led to the establishment of the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory? That was also clearly given in the paper, the article, that India has faced lot of famine, drought conditions during the end of 19th century, that is since 1880s to 1890s, right. So yes, this pattern, there is lot of famines, droughts that were prevalent in across India, especially the South India, right. So this was images that were captured those times. This was credible image of Chennai, I mean the Madras presidency those times. So they were facing lot of what you call droughts and failure of crops because there is a lack of rainfall. And understand that how it is related to the sun. sun is the one which is producing or giving energy to all the planets in the universe, in the solar system, including the earth, right. So the amount of rainfall that we are going to receive, the heat waves, the amount of moisture, everything has to come from the sun. So that's why all these failures has led to the British government to establish a commission under the Charles Mackay Smith. So Charles Mackay Smith was a professor of physics. So they have established a committee that you study all over the India and tell us a place where we have to establish the observatory of sun, right. So understand the context of Kodaikanal Sun Observatory, right, solar observatory. So this committee was established to study the conditions in India and suggest a place where we can put the solar observatory in India. This committee finally studied, they have considered lot of northern part of India and they have seen that lot of smog is there in the northern part of India, especially winter, so we cannot clearly observe. So they have finally chosen as the place in Kodaikanal in the Palani hills, right. So they have chosen this Kodaikanal Solar Observatory to be established in the Kodaikanal where there is a clear skies even in winter at the hilly region, right. So they have made, and the Madras Observatory, we have seen the Madras Observatory was established in 1792. This was also merged into the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory in April 1, 1899. So yesterday was April 1, right. So 1899 it was finally established and Madras Observatory was also merged into the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory, right. Now the government in 1971 has separated the astrophysics from Indian Meteorological Department. Earlier this solar observatory was also part of IMD, Ministry of Earth Science, but now they have in 1971 it was separated from the IMD, the astrophysics, and at present since 1971 the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory is under Indian Institute of Astrophysics, very important, which is located in Bengaluru. So this Kodaikanal Observatory is now part of Indian Institute of Astrophysics, not under the IMD. Earlier it was part of IMD. This is a very important fact to be remembered. Now a brief details factual elements about the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory that we need to know. It is located, it is owned by the government, completely under the government, and is being managed by Indian Institute of Astrophysics, as I said, right. So it is located in the Palani Hills, 4 kilometers from Kodaikanal. So this is the second fact to be understood. As of now it has a very huge amount of photographs of sun, repository of 1.48 lakh digitized solar images, right, in the observatory, which is a huge in number, fine. So these are all the facts to say that it has lot of images related to the weather events and all. This may not be asked, even if it is asked it is a general thing. It has one important telescope called H alpha telescope. This is the one you need to remember. Rest of all the instruments are very generic in nature, right. So that is about today's main articles. Now moving to the factual pointers. There are 3-4 facts which are relevant for our exam. Any doubt in this? Solar observatory, all the things are fact, there is no concept as such. You need to remember what is the importance, the historical background, how it evolved, what are all the observatories were there earlier, and what is the role of Kodaikanal Observatory, where it is located, right. They may ask you where the Kodaikanal laboratory or observatory is related to what. So it is observation of sun. Simple questions may be asked, or statement based questions are also can be asked in the exam, right. So factual pointers, first one, there is going to be a new supercomputer known as Stargate. So the two companies has tied up, Microsoft and then OpenAI, right. OpenAI is the one which has launched ChatGPT. So these two companies have collaborated and they are going to establish Stargate supercomputer, right. So this is one fact, who established and what is that Stargate, so you need to remember. Next one, 2023, which we are done with, is a International Year of Millets, International Year of Millets, and it was concluded in the Rome on March 29, 2024. So that year was over now. International Year of Millet 2023. They may ask in the exam what is 2023 year focusing on millets. Now they have also designated 2024 as International Year of camelids. So camelids means those animals which are belongs to the camel family, right. So this year which we are going to experience is International Year of Camelids, right. So that is the fact. Next one, there was new geographical indication GI tags that were declared. So I am not going to discuss 60 of GI tags was released. So mostly the questions will not be asked. Earlier there were only small amount of GI tags, so the questions were able to ask, but now 60, 50, every year we are able to release 100, 200. So nobody can able to remember, that is why they are not asking the questions. They are asking about what actually is GI tag, who gives, what is the mechanism, that we have already discussed in the previous sessions. Please go through them. Now the facts that are new which were emerged are important for us. Earlier Tamil Nadu was the one which is having the highest geographical indication tags, right. So 58 were there, but now Uttar Pradesh has crossed it. Uttar Pradesh has taken the lead as new sites. It has become approximately 69 GI tags now. So Uttar Pradesh is the state which is having the highest GI tags, followed by Tamil Nadu. And for each cities, Varanasi was the highest emerged city which is having more GI tagged products, if it is considered as a city based estimation. So this is important fact to be remembered. So that is for today's session. Let us move to the practice questions for today. So you might have listened the class, now it is your turn to answer the questions, right. Any doubts in today's session? You can ask. If you have any doubts, please comment here, so I can repeat any of your doubts if you have, right. So we have discussed very good amount of articles today, 7, and then there are some 3-4 facts as well, fine. First question, I am going ahead with the questions. If you have any questions, you can comment here. Consider the following statements about Kodaikanal Solar Observatory. That is the first question. It is a solar observatory owned and operated by the Indian Institute of Astrophysics under Department of Science and Technology. So this is the first statement. Second statement, it is located in Nilgiri hill ranges of Tamil Nadu state. That is the second statement. Third statement, it was established in 1971. So this is the third statement. So let us understand, this is a very direct fact. We have seen that 125 years been there, right. So this is very easy one to eliminate. So third should be eliminated first, right. Then it is a solar observatory owned and operated by Institute of Astronomic Physics, and this is under Department of Science and Technology. Yes, this Indian Institute of Astrophysics is under Ministry of Science and Technology. Indian Meteorological Department is under Ministry of Earth Science. So this is a correct statement. So one should be there, right. And then second one, it is located in the Nilgiri hill ranges. This is also wrong, because it is located in the Palani hills. We have discussed that it is located in the Palani hills. So second statement is also wrong, and hence answer is A. Yes, Swarupa, Malni, Oendrila, Sahana, all of you are correct. I don't know why Ramya has answered it as 1 and 2. So second statement is wrong, because it is not located in Nilgiri hills but Palani hills, fine. Next question, which of the following statements about VVPAT system are correct? So there are some statements, and about VVPAT, let us see what are all the correct statements they are asking. Yes, Srinath, that is answer correct only, A. The slip generated through VVPAT contains the poll symbol and the name of the candidate. So that is the first statement. It contains two things, poll symbol and the name of the candidate. Kerala was the first state in the country to use the voter recording system, VVPAT. That is the second statement. Third statement, Election Commission has the discretion to take up any decision in case of discrepancy between electronic results and VVPAT paper slips. So if there is any discrepancy, then Election Commission will have a discretion to take any decision how to handle the situation. So these are the three statements. Now I will see how you will answer this question, right, because there are one or two statements which we haven't discussed. I think one statement that we haven't discussed, that is third. So you need to apply the logic rather than recalling the facts. That's how you need to answer the analytical based questions. Can we give discretionary powers to election commission when there was a discrepancy? So will it be a democratic? So something like that you need to think and then you need to answer. So first statement is correct because yes, it have poll symbol and the name of the candidate. So first one should be there. Kerala was the first state in the country to use this high-tech voter recording system. No, it was implemented in Noksan constituency in Nagaland. So this Kerala was used for EV electronic voting machines but not for VVPAT. So 2 is also eliminated, right. So now let us check the third statement. Election Commission has a discretion in any decision in case of discrepancy. No, there is no such thing. They need to count everything, and if there is a discrepancy they need to conduct the election again. There is no discretion given to the Election Commission, right. So this is how you need to think. So answer is A again. So this is also wrong, right. So answer is A. I don't know why, because just added one statement which we did not discuss. Most of you haven't answered. You need to understand. Yes, Rachana, you are correct. So answer is A. Next one, the Union Territory of Ladakh shares its boundary with what? I mean, they have given 3 states and it shares boundary with how many states they are asking? Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh. So 1 and 2 only Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, 2 and 3 only Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, 1 and 3 only Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and all the 3 states. So what is the answer for this? You need to recollect the map that we have discussed, right. We have discussed the map. I have shown clearly, right. So first one, a very easy one, Jammu Kashmir, yes, of course it has a connection or boundary with the thing. Next one, Himachal Pradesh was there. We have seen the 2 states that are bordering are Jammu Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. So Uttarakhand is not there, right. So answer is 1 and 3. So Rachana and Srinath have answered, other people have answered it as 1, 2, 3. I have shown you the Ladakh map and then Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh. I have explained the location of Ladakh as well, right. You might have forgot. Try to remember those things. That is how the mapping questions are asked. Next one, which of the following statements about Callisto is incorrect? So Callisto, we have seen the discussion about Callisto, right. Yes, Ramya, you are also correct. C. So about Callisto moon, which one is incorrect? It is the largest moon of Jupiter. So that is the first statement. It is heavily cratered, that is the second statement. It lacks the seismic activity. So that is the third statement. Callisto was first observed at the close range by Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft in 1979. So this is the statement that we did not discuss, intentionally added, but you have clue in the other 3 statements. So you can easily answer this. Even if you do not know this, you can answer this. Fourth question. So this may be in dilemma, we will check this. It lacks seismic activity. As I said, there is no seismic activity. So this is correct. Presently it was stable. It is heavily cratered. So 2 options can be easily eliminated. You have to take between these 2 things. I said this is the 3rd largest moon overall in the solar system and 2nd of Jupiter. First one is Ganymede, right. So this is the 3rd largest overall and the 2nd largest of Jupiter. So answer is A, even if you do not know this. Yes, Rachana, Madan and Sahana, Yasmin have answered this correct, right. Next question and the last question, which of the following statements is correct regarding Havana syndrome? Havana syndrome we have discussed, right. So you have to answer this question. Which of the following statement is correct regarding Havana syndrome? Yeah. It is a neglected tropical disease and is caused due to the undernourishment in the Havana Islands. So that is the first statement. And then abnormal rise in temperatures leading to the outbreak of vector-borne disease in Havana. Yes, Malini, 4 is correct. Now let us come to the 5th question. It is a set of mental health symptoms such as memory loss because of the greater exposure to high powered microwaves. That is the third statement. And then emergence of radioactive substances during the volcanic eruption leading to the permanent genetic disorder. We have discussed this in detail, where it is happening, what is the reason and all, right. So, what is the answer for this? It is not related to the undernourishment food related thing, so that is eliminated. It is not related to any vector borne disease, or it is not related to any volcanic disorder or genetic disorder. It is a set of mental condition due to impact of microwaves. Yes, all of you are correct. Sahana, Oindila, Rachna, Malini, Srinath, Swaroop. So, all of you are correct, as this is an easy question, and this is of today's session. Please do like, subscribe our videos, so that will make us to expand more. So, this is about today's session, and have very great evening and happy studies. Thank you.